The following BLTV program is brought to you by O'Flaherty Law. Please enjoy.
Welcome to Learn About Law. My name is Kevin O'Flaherty from O'Flaherty Law, and today we're going to explain estate planning in Illinois. It's a broad topic, and we've got a lot of articles and videos on some specifics on the subject, but we want to give a broad overview of what an estate plan can accomplish and why people do it, and what the basic tools are we use in an estate plan. So a lot of people, when they think of estate planning, they think, oh, I need a will. And that's sometimes the case. But they basically think I need to name a guardian for my children and make sure that I say who's going to get what when I pass away. And that's certainly part of an estate plan, but an estate plan usually consists of some more documents than that based on what your goals are and can accomplish a lot more than that. So let's talk about the things that an estate plan can accomplish. One is that, yes, it can make sure that your assets are allocated according to your desires. And it goes a little bit beyond just when you pass away, things are going to be distributed to certain people. You can, in a proper estate plan, have a whole plan for how your assets are distributed to minor children over the course of, the next 30 years as they get older. You can have disbursements over a particular period of time and control how your assets are invested. Another thing that an estate plan will do for you is ensure that your loved ones will have immediate access to your assets when you pass away. If you don't have an estate plan, there's a good chance that your estate will go through a probate case, which takes about a year, and during that year, your loved ones don't have access to your assets because they're tied up in the probate case. That's easily avoidable, and that's something that a good estate plan will accomplish, and that's something we use trust for. Another thing that it will do is that if you have to go through one of these probate cases because you don't have a proper estate plan, you're probably going to be paying a bunch in attorney's fees, or your estate will. Attorney's fees can be 5 to 10% of the value of the estate. So a proper estate plan, by avoiding probate, will make sure that you don't have to have a bunch of your estate sucked up in attorney's fees. Estate taxes are another concern. There's both a federal and state estate tax, and again, most of these are easily avoidable or minimizable with a good estate plan. Now, not everybody has to worry about estate tax, but you should know if you do. You should talk to a professional, find out if estate tax should be a concern for you, and if it is, take the steps to minimize it. If you become incapacitated, a good estate plan will ensure that your loved ones have the ability to make financial and healthcare and major life decisions on your behalf immediately, without having to go through a costly and time-consuming and stressful guardianship proceeding. This is what powers of attorney do. Similarly, if you're incapacitated, and if you have a living will, then you can make end-of-life decisions and let your doctor know about your medical wishes, and take the end-of-life decision, should I pull the plug on mom or dad, away from your kids or your loved ones, and take that emotional burden off their hands. Probably the most important thing you can do with an estate plan is, if you have minor children, you can name a guardian for them and make sure that the right person is in charge of raising them if you're unable to do so, and avoid a guardianship contest or a court proceeding that will be painful for everybody. And finally, you can, like I said, you can plan to have someone you trust administer your assets for those minor children until they reach the age of majority. And often people will say, if they have a trust, they'll say, when my kid turns 18, I want them to have access to 1/3 of the trust funds. When they turn, 25, I want them to have 2/3, and when they turn 30, they can get the rest. During that time, the trustee can have the ability to pay as much or as little of your estate assets to them as the trustee feels necessary for their benefit. But when the child turns 18, they don't necessarily have access to all of their inheritance in order to buy a sports car or something that they may regret once they're a little bit older. So those are the main things that an estate plan can accomplish. And a good estate plan for most people looks like a revocable living trust, and that's the thing that will make sure your estate doesn't go through probate and can give you some more long-term control over your assets. Possibly a will in addition to a trust. The one thing a will can do that a trust can't do is name guardians for minor children, so that's why we often will have it in addition to a trust. powers of attorney, both healthcare and financial, to, again, make sure that if you are mentally incapacitated, a guardianship proceeding isn't necessary for your loved ones to basically take your care into their hands. And maybe a living will, and this is really optional, and that's if you have a living will in your medical file, it's something that says if I am in an irreversible coma, there's zero chance of me ever coming out of that coma, I want my life support terminated, and again, that takes that decision out of the hands of your loved ones. And that's what a basic estate plan looks like for most people. Now, if estate tax is a concern, there's some more advanced estate planning techniques we use, like a multiple trust strategy or something called an irrevocable life insurance trust. And we can get more complex the more assets you have and the more we need to bring your estate within the state and local estate tax exemptions, which mean that you're not eligible for estate tax. But the bottom line is the typical estate plan for most people is pretty simple. It accomplishes all those goals we talked about. And the right time to get one, there's no wrong time, but there's a couple inflection points when people do tend to get one. One, when they purchase their first home. It's a good idea to put that in trust to make sure that, if you pass away, it doesn't go through a probate estate, because that's when you're usually at the point where a probate estate would be required if you were to pass away. When you have your first child, that's another time to have an estate plan to make sure that the children are taken care of if something happens to you. And then a lot of people will skip past those times and not really think about it until they have to deal with their parents passing away and their parents' probate estate that they have to manage, and they say, I don't want to do this to my kids. So we get a lot of people that are in their 50s and 60s that have just been the executor of their parents' probate estate and say, I want to make sure that my kids don't go through this. And then certainly if you don't do it at that stage, certainly at any point before you pass away is a good time to get it done, because if you don't, you're going to be leaving a major headache for everybody that you love that's going to have to deal with your estate, but also you're probably going to be leaving them a lot less of your assets than you otherwise could if you don't have a proper estate plan done. So if you have any questions, please leave us a comment in our comments section on either YouTube or on our blog. Please subscribe to our YouTube station, review us on iTunes, and feel free to call us for a free initial consultation. Thanks so much for listening.
Thanks so much for watching our video. If you have any questions, feel free to comment below. Click the subscribe button for new videos every week, and download and review us on iTunes. Visit learn-about-law.com for other legal-related articles and videos. Visit our business podcast and video blog, seizeyourbusiness.com, and visit Making Real Estate Fun for real estate videos and podcasts. Call us at 630-324-6666 for a free consultation.